Hello from Schneider's Columbus, OC. This is November 25th, and it's a little cold. I think we're right at freezing. It's cold in the truck because my bunk heater doesn't work. It has something to do with the electrical system, I believe. I talked to somebody about fixing it, and they said it'd take a couple days. So I'm probably gonna wait to get that resolved for a more beneficial time. I think I know when I'll have that done, but for now, I'm getting by with lots of insulation. I could run the engine of the truck more, but that seems really inefficient. So I've got plenty of insulation. It's enough for now. If it got super cold, then I could do something more. But for now, this is good enough. But I wanted to talk about my day one. I still need to tell that story as best I can. I have a little notebook with what I wrote out about that day, and I'll just go through it, try to recount what that was like. It was actually my birthday that day, so it was actually kind of a fitting day. Some people might, I guess, consider that a bad birthday to be working, but for me it was really good. It was a good new beginning, moving forward, and just starting out a new journey was really fitting for a birthday, and better than many I've had in the past. I've been discouraged and disillusioned before for a while, so this was definitely a welcome change for me. So I was super nervous the night before, and that morning I woke up earlier than I had planned to. I had planned to be there around 6 and get moving by 7, but I woke up like 4 or something and couldn't go back to sleep. I was super nervous, and so I just packed the remainder of stuff I wanted to take to the truck and headed out a little earlier than I expected. Got to the truck, and my main mission early on was to get out anything that I thought I wasn't going to need, anything in there that didn't seem like I would have a use for it right away, because I knew organizing in the space would be tight. So I got some of the things out and then packed in. I got some of the things that were in there were stuff that the previous owner had left, intending for me to use and to have, but some of them I'll use later, once I figure out the space more. And some of them I kept already, but there were some, like there was a weight bench and 2 50-pound dumbbells that is a bit optimistic for right now, so I left those behind. We'll see about that. We'll see about that later. But then I added a little bit more of what I had brought from home, and then I it was about 6 or so. I went on duty and started pre-tripping the truck. Started by pre-tripping the truck, and then started going through the workflow. I still am kind of new to it, but it's a lot more familiar to me now. But a lot of this stuff, like everything I'll go over, I'll say like it took me a while to figure it out and stuff. Some of it's because I learn better by doing anyways. And like any trainer or whatever will say, well, of course you learn that in school or in the training. Well, yeah, we learned a bunch of things. There were a bunch of things we learned in the several weeks that we were in training. So it would be different if it was like the one new thing that we learned that week was how the workflow was. But we learned about workflow and trip planning app and navigation and turns and pre-trips and backing, and like just there was a lot of stuff all crammed in that space. So like it wasn't as if we spent the whole 2 weeks working on workflow. And so it was still somewhat unfamiliar. It was like familiar enough that I knew my way. I could eventually work my way through it. But I wasn't like lickety split, hit the right button every time, all the time, kind of thing. So I was still just making sure I was doing it right. And so it was kind of daunting initially, because the trip that I got sent, my first trip, was to pick up a empty trailer in the lot that I was at, then take that to Houston, or outside of Houston, and drop it and pick up a loaded trailer there, and take that loaded trailer to Florida, down near Tampa or something, down pretty far into Florida. So that was a great trip to start out on, but it was a lot, like, seemed a little overwhelming at first. So what I did is I just focused on one thing at like the next thing I needed to do, figure out what I needed for that, what the navigation I needed for that. It was too much for me to like looking at the whole thing to like plan all my breaks and how long is this going to take, and how I have no idea how long things take, and so it was just I wasn't, and it looked like I did have it was a huge window. So like the place that I was being sent to, I think both of them were like 24-hour locations, and so it wasn't like I needed to be super, like time wasn't super critical. I just needed to start moving forward is what the way I was thinking of it. So I needed to figure out the next thing that I needed to get figured out so that I could move to the next step. And so initially, it was the next step was picking out a trailer at the lot there, and there seemed to be quite a few there. I don't know exactly how many there were. They were empty. So my mindset was I'll just try to take one that's good enough. I'm not going to like look through all of them and find the best one. But so the first one I looked at, I didn't like the tires on it. I didn't know if they were, like, again, being super new, I don't know fully like what's good and what's not. But it just, to me, it didn't look great. I didn't know for sure if they were good or bad. So I passed on that one. Went to the next one, had something in it. It was like a pallet and some other, it looked like, I don't know. It was open, and it seemed like it might be considered empty, but like there was stuff in it. I didn't know what to do with it. So I passed on that one. The next one was actually a nice shiny trailer. It looked like from the outside of all the parts were new and stuff. But then I opened up the back, and there was like a kind of a little bit of a mess of debris back there. And I think that's why it had been, usually like new tools and stuff, somebody's going to use that. So it's kind of odd to see it just sitting there in a working environment. But I guess that's probably why, is because it had the debris there. Nobody wanted to deal with it. But I decided I'd rather have the shiny trailer with the shiny wheels, and everything looked good. And so I went ahead and I actually found a broom on the back of the truck cab. There was a broom kind of folded up and like stuck into some wiring in some way that I guess might be the official way it's supposed to go, but didn't look super secure to me. It didn't look like, I don't know. It was probably fine, but I ended up putting it. When I put it back, I put it back in inside the tool chamber, kind of on the side of the truck. So it's a lot more secure now. But then but it was an actual push broom, which made sweeping out not too bad. So I went ahead and swept out the back of the trailer. And then when I went to close the doors, and they gave me problems. So I was having trouble getting the latch on, because I had both doors open, and then the first door, to get it closed, I could tell like the latch needed to move up. But then I kind of almost closed it, and then went inside to see, and you could see like it looked like, I couldn't tell what was off, like if it was the box that had been kind of slanted, or if the door hinges themselves were slanted, but something wasn't like aligned properly. And at that point, I had already I had mistaken like what I was doing with the trailer. I thought I was taking it to be loaded, and I was going to be dealing with it in Houston and in Florida. So my thought was, well, maybe I can figure out how to get this to work, and if I can, then I'll know how to do it. I had missed, yeah. So I hadn't figured out that it was actually a drop. I was going to be dropping that in Houston and making that trailer somebody else's problem, and then picking up a different trailer. If I had, I might have thought through it differently, but I had, like I said, I was mistaken about. I figured if I could learn to close it, then I could close it again later. So what I did was, it actually reminded me to get my crowbars out of my personal vehicle, put them in the truck, because you never know when a good bit of leverage might come in handy. And that's what I ended up using to close the door. Was applying some leverage to the bottom corner. Was able to shift it up enough to get it to catch the latch up on top. And so that all took a little bit of time and some work to get the trailer ready. Then of course I was super slow and all the procedures for hooking up. So that's what I did next is I had my pamphlet. I had actually one of the pamphlets that we had in school. I had taken it to a lamination shop and had it laminated. But I had that with me and just went through the steps, just one by one, completed the steps and got it all hooked up. And then I was kind of ready to leave, but there was this odd feeling of like, it feels, I almost needed to, I would have liked like a checklist of like what, to make sure I had done all the things that I needed to do before I departed, because it felt like there were a bunch of things to remember that I needed to do before I was ready to roll with the truck. But I think I thought I was at that stage, but I just like was double checking, making sure. I did another pre-trip on both the truck and the trailer. Just to make sure. Of course, I'm still super nervous and super new. So I thought I should just do another pre-trip. I just did that. And then I actually got on the road for the first time. And it wasn't too bad. Just took it slow. Took it easy. It was a couple hours of driving to the destination. And it was still in the afternoon, it was probably early afternoon when I got there, and there was a huge line. I don't know if they were having trouble at their security booth. They might have been low on personnel working the booth or something, but it was backed up a long ways, and it took a while to get each truck through. It seemed like we would actually. The whole line would just like move up one, and then we ended up just setting our brakes and turning the truck off because it would take a while to get to move again. And Fortunately, I got there when the line wasn't terribly too bad, but I could see it stacking up even worse behind me. But I was still a ways from the gate, so it took me a while to get there. So that took a while. It was several hours, I think. Just sitting there waiting in line. But then when I got to the security booth, the security guy there was really, really nice, communicated really well, and helped me figure out what I was doing. Ran through the whole process for me real quick of where I was going to take it, who I was going to see inside, where I was going to get the loaded trailer. And so I went inside and had a little bit of trouble finding the right spot to put the trailer. It took me a little bit to figure out the organization scheme of how the lot was laid out, but got there in the end. And I managed to, well, it was, my spot had an empty spot behind it. So instead of trying a back, I went ahead and did a pull through and made that as simple on myself as I could. I knew I definitely need to work on backing, but for the first day, I wanted to just try to make everything as simple as I can when I get the opportunity. So I took that opportunity, made a pull through, got it set got situated all properly, and ran through again, pulled out the the laminated checklist, did the uncoupling procedure step by step. No big deal, but of course I wasn't moving terribly fast. I was just trying to get it right. And then from there, went in to the building to see shipping and receiving. And on my way there, I noticed there was a spot on the paperwork that there was like a letter associated with the spot I was at that they wanted to filled in to make sure, to verify that I parked in the right spot. So I went back and got that because I hadn't gotten it the first time. And they might not have really cared about it. The security guard didn't mention it, and the people at the desk didn't mention it. But I don't know. I just try to do things right when I can, especially being new. I didn't know what was going on. So I went and did that and got in there. They had three forms to fill out, or the same form to fill out 3 times. I think it's like the bill of lading. I think that's what it's called. And then filled it out properly. Went to the bathroom. It's nice that most places like that have a bathroom, because they know truckers have been riding for a while. They kind of need one. And then got the paperwork in order. He went back out, and I had already actually, while I was in line, I had so much time before I got to the gate that I had ran the next trailer that I was picking up through the Find My Trailer app. So I had found it. I could actually see it from outside security. So I had seen it before I was actually in there. So I went and found my way to it then, and got in front of it and started going through the checklist again. Pulled out the checklist because I'm still super new and still making sure I do everything right. And went through the checklist, and then I noticed as I was picking it up that I think it's the last step when picking it up, is cranking up the handle, cranking up the landing gear. And I noticed it was kind of rough. I felt like I was fighting with it a little bit, trying to get it into a gear that would work. I don't know. I think there's like a gearbox in there. I can't really see what's going on in there, but it felt like something was messed up or chewed up or something. But I was fighting with it a little bit, and but managed to start getting it to roll up. And then at the very end, like right, so I'm like it's rolled all the way up, and then it like gets a little bit stiffer as it like runs at the end of its operating range, and the handle literally like fell apart. Uh, to like the gear piece. I think there was like a pin or something that must have sheared or had been already broken and was just barely hanging on or something. And then so like there's a gear piece that's like part of the ratchet system of the handle, that came apart, and the handle itself came off like the arm of the shaft for the landing gear. It all came apart. And so at that point, I was good to roll with it, but I didn't know like if that would be any kind of an issue. Definitely it would be an issue setting it down, but so I didn't know exactly what to do. So that at that point, that seemed like a good idea to call my driver leaders. And at that point, I don't think I'd been assigned to a specific driver leaders. I'd just been given the number for the office, or the line to call. And there's a bunch of them that can pick up. And the one that picked up didn't quite. I don't know. It took me a little bit to convince him that what I was saying was really happening. A little bit not believing. I don't know if it was that rare, or I did explain it really well. But like, yeah, the handle fell off. The handle was off of the thing. So eventually, I sent him pictures of the handle, or the crank part assembly that I had laying on the ground, and then the shaft just without a handle. Send them those pictures. Oh yeah, so that's probably needs to get fixed. So they sent me to the Houston OC, or the operating center for Schneider in Houston. And because everything had taken so long already, I had a few hours left on my clock, but I obviously wasn't getting much further down the road. But also, I could tell that I was gonna hit Houston at rush hour, and like properly, like all of rush hour. So that's what ended up happening, because I couldn't really wait, because the 14-hour clock that was going to be the limiter doesn't stop ticking, and so like waiting to go through at lower traffic would put me more at risk to running out than just go ahead and go. So I figure, I mean, it can't be that many hours worth of traffic jam, I figured, so I should just go ahead. And that's what I did. And it was started getting late, lost light, so it was at night, or near enough dark, and in rush hour. So that was my first rush hour experience within Houston. It seemed a little bit nuts. Like the lanes would come and go at various times. Like I could shift like 3 lanes over one way or another, and not have put on my signal, not have changed lanes. Like the lanes would just come and go. And so trying to be in the right lane, and like I had a bunch of different intersections had different lanes that I needed to be in, because they would merge and then split, merge and then split. And so it was a little bit it seemed like it should be more nerve-wracking than it actually was. It was actually kind of peaceful. I started feeling like this odd, it was like, yeah, it seemed peaceful but out of place, to be for the situation. But really, it was just try to follow my navigation, make a lane change if I had to. And then otherwise, it was just make sure there was enough safe space in front of me, and if there was, then I could move again. And everybody else, all around me, they're all stressed out, and they're all doing their car things. They're doing whatever they're doing, but I don't have to be a part of that. I don't have to be a part of their stress. I don't have to be a part of what's any of their emotions or any of that. I'm bigger than they are. They can't threaten me. They can't intimidate me. And they're not even trying. They're just trying to get where they're going. And so I just kept creeping forward whenever I had space, and just kind of relaxed about it, and just slowly but surely made my way through, and then ended up getting to the OC kind of late. Still had a few hours on my clock, so I went over, figured out. First, when I got there, it looked a little bit tight in the Houston OC, and so I parked initially, so I could figure out what was going on before I got the truck into a situation I couldn't get it out of. Figured out where I needed to go to the shop, and then got back in, took it over there, and the guys, it seemed like it should have been a simple process. It was literally like one bolt that needed to be removed, and then they were replacing basically the entire assembly, but it kind of all hinged around one bolt, I think. But for some reason, I think it's the one that was in there already was like jammed or something. They were having the worst time getting that out. They were beating on it with hammers, going at it with drills. Like, they were getting every tool they had. They were going back to get more different tools, and it just kept taking longer and longer. I thought it would be done in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but it just kept going. And so I was getting there, starting to run down the clock, starting to get nervous, and finally, at 30 minutes on my clock, I was like, guys, I think I gotta leave this here, because if otherwise I'm gonna have to park here. I don't think you guys want that. So at that point I think they had it well enough along in the repair process that they could crank down the landing gear, so I could detach from the trailer. Again, I got my sheet out to make sure I did it properly, and then went and parked the bobtail, which actually there were quite a few bobtail spots there. So I found an empty one, no problem. And that was and I went off. I did my post trip, and then went off duty with just like a couple minutes to spare. And that was literally my first day. I didn't go very far. I went like literally from like the west side the east side of San Antonio to the I don't know, kind of all the way through on the other side of Houston. But that should have taken like 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours in like a car, but it taken me like nearly 14 hours. Well, by the time the repairs and everything, it was a long day, and didn't feel like I had done a whole lot. But I guess maybe that's how it is starting out new. Maybe that's just me. I'm sure everybody's experience is different, but I was trying to focus on doing things right rather than doing things fast. And I feel like if I keep doing things right and learn the process that way, then I'll gradually get faster and faster, get better with my speed. But I definitely don't want to make a mistake, because these can be costly mistakes, and this is serious equipment that we're dealing with. So definitely want to take my time, make sure I'm doing it right. And that's the kind of the mindset I was going with, and I was kind of looking at I'm still looking at as I'm in training. It's like a different kind of training, but it's on the job training, but I'm still here learning. I'm still I mean, I might have officially left school, but I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning. So paying attention, trying to learn from uh situations that as they happen, and keep moving forward a little bit at a time, baby steps, one step at a time. That's how I found my way there, and was ready to shut down for the night, and that's what I did. So I'll we'll start talking about day 2 and the following in more in later videos. Just wanted to make one day at a time, especially this one. Other videos might have more than one day, but this was kind of a big day. I knew it would take a long time to make a video, or be a long video. So that's where we are, and I'll sign off for now and see y'all later.